What up? This is Myron, and you are watching or listening. Actually, you're only watching this if it's live. The live version of the Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast. That down on the docks on the other side of the tracks. 5-star dive bar podcast again, where you're getting this anywhere if you're listening on the pod. But if you're watching on YouTube, what's up? Instagram, and of course, Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it, that's fine with us. As long as you're liking, subscribing, following all that shit. Look, Mariners take 2 out of 3 from Oakland in a tough series. And what do you know? Another low scoring series. What a big surprise. But we did see historic achievements from Brian Wu and technically Ty France. We're going to talk about that. We also saw a huge scare with Andres Muñoz. What's the latest on that as we record? We're going to get into that. And what's the update on Gregory Santos? We saw his name pop back up. Seems like he is on the road to recovery and getting back up to the major leagues. Also, top pitching prospect Logan Evans is being transitioned into a relief pitcher. What? But when are we going to see him? And yes, the trade rumors are out there. Trade talk is circulating, especially after Stanton, our favorite person, John Stanton, says he's all in. So when can we and what can we realistically expect from him and when? And of course, we're going to talk about my experience in Oakland. I know it says live here in Oakland, but I had to get down to LA, but I was there, I swear. And of course, a look at the upcoming Kansas City series. You ready to get into this, Hanno?
Yeah, let's do it.
How about right after this?
Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdom.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the Ants. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdom.
God, I love that video. I love watching the old clips of players turning two there on the AstroTurf in the Kingdom. It just gets me going.
Yeah, those quick hands getting two.
Yeah. So look, another series win by the Mariners. What's that? 10 out of 15, I think. Yeah. I mean, you keep hearing all these different numbers to make it sound better. They're like, it's 9 out of 14, 10 out of 14, 11 out of 15. I don't know. They're winning a lot more series. They go down to Oakland, a series that they should win, but it's not as much of a cakewalk as it used to be down in Oakland. That team is a tough team to play. They definitely got some good pitching, definitely on the backside of that, late into the game. The back part of their relief pitching is out of control.
Yeah, really excited to get to see Miller pitch. Heard a lot about him, seen some highlights, but yeah, it was a really good matchup. I know we'll talk about. And yeah, they're not the cellar dwellers in the AL West anymore. That's for sure.
And right off the bat, we have a technical difficulty right there. Did you see? Are you back? Okay. Go ahead and say that. And shout out to Seth, who just commented here. Never gets old. Okay. I don't know if he's talking about the technical difficulties or the video never gets old. So let's take that back there, Hanno. Let's talk about, I think you were talking about Seth Miller.
Or yeah, just talking about
Miller.
Mason Miller.
Mason Miller. There we go. Mason Miller.
Yeah, really excited to see him. Haven't seen him much other than highlights. Man, it's amazing what those guys can pump up nowadays. And yeah, it's just good to see. Well, not good to see, but it's surprising that Oakland isn't the cellar dwellers in the AL West anymore. They've moved up in the league.
No, and I got a chance to see that heat from, I don't know, about 10 rows back on Wednesday's game. It's for real. That was when Julio did hit that home run that I think it's great that he hit, they're trying to, of course, shove that down our throats. Hey, he hit this 102.5 mile an hour ball that they're saying it's the 6th fastest ball that was hit or the 3rd fastest ball that was hit since 2003. And it's like, all right, that's great. I'd like to see him hit a little bit more. But again, that was a great accomplishment. That was a bomb, though.
Yeah, I happened to turn over to MLB tonight and got the national aspect of it, and they were giddy in the studio. Greg and Harold and Buck Showalter. It was cool to see that happen. They were just excited to see it, and I mean, I was expecting them to, pump it in, obviously, but get in more on Julio and jam him up or strike him out. But he fought that high fastball and got on top of it, and good on him. It was exciting.
Yeah, Seth again commented here, says Julio smoked that ball, and just for clarity, he said it was the song that's dope. That's the commercial. That thing never gets old. Good, good, good. That's been one of our day oneer bumpers. But look, let's take this. Let's go back a little bit in the series. Game 1 will be forever in this season known as the game that Muñoz had that collision and got hurt. I know a whole bunch of other shit happened, and we'll talk about it in that game. But when I think about that game, that's what I think about.
Yeah, that's definitely it. You'll be surprised that isn't it for me, but I'll bring it up here in a sec. But yeah, very scary feeling late. Listening to the game, and Dave Sims was, I think, making it worse out than it was for me. He really got me scared. It was a tough looking play. The ball got away on a wild pitch. Cal makes a good play, and then here comes Muñoz sliding in, kind of gets, his ankle's underneath the guy and falls on his back. I thought it was more of an ankle, but then later to hear he's having back problems, and it was that. I guess that's a good thing, possibly.
Sure, if we're picking between the two, I guess it's back, but backs can also linger, just like the ankle. But yeah, no torn ligaments, I guess.
I mean,
better?
He's had foot issues before, had surgery,
Sure.
to heal up. You just get concerned of it. But yeah, I mean, pick your poison, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I was watching that game. I was packing actually for my drive down from Seattle. I was watching that game, and all of a sudden, I must have thrown a bag down or something and hit the streaming remote at where I was staying. And I grabbed it, fixed it. There was one out. Muñoz was in control. Dave Sims was oohing and on. Him and Blowers were just on and on about the Mariners would not be where they are without Muñoz. Everything was peaches and cream, as we like to call it here on the pod. And then I turned it back on. I got the streaming back going on, and it was right at that collision. Run scored. It's a 1-run game. Muñoz is hurt. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I did this. I take the blame for what happened when that happened. No, but we did see Saucedo come in, hold down the fort. That was a scary moment, obviously, for Muñoz, but it was also one of those, oh boy, here we go. Game 1 of a road trip.
Absolutely. We've been relatively injury-free on the pitching side. It was a wild, scary moment for sure, just thinking of the impact it could have on this bullpen where we're kind of concerned about who's going to lead up to Muñoz. Stanek comes in. Is he going to be our new guy? He gives up a lot of hits and an occasional run here and there, and then all these things go in your head. And yeah, thank goodness it's hopefully only minor.
So I'm gonna pull up the box score from that game right here on the live feed. But look, Mariners get 3 in the third, pile on another one in the fourth, and the bats get quiet. But they did get 10 hits in this game, and if I believe, yes, only 7 strikeouts, which I'll take that any day from this offense. Ty France with a good game here. We also saw Rojas keep it going in this game, but let's not forget George Kirby. Not his best start. Pitch count got up there a little bit, right on him, kind of rode up on him. 5 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, but the bullpen, outside of what was going on there with Muñoz, held this one down. I think that's the big story in this game. What else do you got about this game?
Well, the big story for me, and you mentioned that's how you'll remember this game for me, it was how the Mariners hit 4 doubles in an inning. I mean, I was just absolutely floored when that happened, but good on them to get hot and just pepper the gap there in that 3rd inning.
Yeah. This game, we were, runners in scoring position, decent in this game, 4 for 12, 7 left on base, as we're looking at the scores right here, right now. But this was a game that Oakland just kept sticking in there, just creeping on us, and the Mariners could not get anything going offensively late in this game, which carried into the next game as well. I know people want to go that it doesn't work that way, but hitting is contagious and not hitting is very contagious around the Mariners.
Yeah, it was definitely a narrative on the broadcast of you leave Oakland hanging around, they could come back and bite you. And wouldn't you know, the Mariners had some opportunities to blow them out, and they didn't, and kept Oakland around. And Oakland gave a huge push there at the end, and it was more of a nail biter, the typical Mariner game that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, Luke Raley also had to put in a couple of hits in this game. God, he has just been. I think that is the best trade we made from this offseason. Maybe that's showing up.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really kept up what Caballero's
right now
been doing, but I gotta agree totally. I mean, from the guys that we heard in the offseason, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he started off a little slow, and we were concerned with everybody, and still are with most guys. But he's the one who's, risen to the top. That absolutely, he's been the best acquisition this last offseason.
Yeah, I mean, after this game, I happened to drive down to Oakland before I was coming to Los Angeles, and I mean, I busted 12 hours straight up just so I could go to this game. Went off of the beaten path down to LA. Had to bring some stuff that I've acquired up there, and bringing some stuff back up there. It was a rough ride. It was like 100+ degrees for 6 hours of this, but once I got there into Oakland, stayed right around the corner, not a good corner. Okay. When I say stayed right around the corner, you can, if whatever you think about Oakland's downtown by the stadium and how it is a shithole, it's gotten worse since last season, I have to say.
Yeah, you had that motivation, though, those free 4 hot dogs when you buy any ticket. That's what it was for you.
Yes, it was. There was dollar hot dogs there. And one of my friends from Oakland, I was like, dude, you guys do dollar hot dogs? He goes, yeah, it's Wednesday. So I guess they've been doing this, and you get 4 hot dogs per ticket, long lines, pretty heavily attended game for the Oakland A's, and they almost got treated to a perfect game there. It was looking that way, and but again, you don't get too excited, like you said. I think we've talked about this before, where a team had a no-hitter going, and I said, at what point in the game do you just turn into a baseball fan and hope for the perfect game or the no-hitter? And you've told me we've seen that too many times with the Mariners being the victim in this, that you don't. It's not a special occasion. It's a typical occasion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we go back in the Wayback Machine. Philip Humber, I believe is his name, from the White Sox, when he did it, and against the M's. I mean, the M's are in this situation at least a couple times a year, it feels like. But man, that guy was dealing, and he shouldn't have been. Mariners should have got the bats going a lot earlier, and they just handcuffed him, to start that early part of the game until JP punched one off the wall there in right center.
You're right. I was watching with my 4 hot dogs. I was right, I don't know, 10 rows, like almost directly behind the plate. And sure, he was pitching well, but it wasn't one of these like lights out games. And I think I was even texting you after Cal's second at bat. I said, the third time through this lineup, Cal's going to fucking destroy whatever this guy's throwing.
Yep.
He didn't get that at bat. Mark Kotze, great managing, pulled him out just in time. And the Mariners could not get the bats going there. But let's pull this up. I mean, let's look at the pitchers on this side. Look how many 1/3 of an inning guys we have right there. 3 of them. And then Miller comes in the 8th, gets the 5-out save. And I said to you too, I said, maybe the Mariners will have a shot because he's, going to be pitching multiple outs. I mean, more than an inning's worth of outs, but the Mariners could not keep him on the bench long enough. Yes, Julio did come and get in there. We actually have another comment here. It says, whatever happened to that Oakland Coliseum spotlight you guys talked about last season? You said you were going to interview A's fans and stuff. Well, we still have one more series, so that's a perfect question. We are going to be down there in September for the final Oakland A's series. we'll be doing a live show over at the Radisson. So thank you for asking. But yeah, again, the Mariners offense was awful in this game. Gilbert pitched great, had one mistake, and then we had one inning where they didn't play clean defense. I think I text you too, and I think we might even tweeted this. Any overthrow with Ty France having to go chase down that ball, it's basically automatic first to third, maybe first to home with all that foul ground in Oakland.
Yeah, and it was no fault of Ty's, and I have never
No.
seen Logan throw over there and throw that wild and throw it up the first baseline. But yeah, watching Ty run after it, you don't like your chances there. That's for sure.
No. But the Mariners couldn't get anything going. I think Oakland A's got the Mariners to roll into a couple of double plays in this game. We saw Victor Robles. I think this was his Mariners debut. Comes in a big pinch hitting spot, rolls into a double play.
Yep, game over. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a quick one. I think this game was over before I could even get that fourth hot dog down. Mariners 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position in this game. 5 men left on base. If you want to look for a couple of positives in this game, credit to JP for breaking up the no-no. Mariners only struck out 7 times, kept it under 10. But no, when you can only put together 4 hits. So besides that home run, 3 hits sporadically through the game and the big 0 for 6. It's not going to get the job done, but the bullpen, hats off to them. We say this all the time. Way to keep us in there. They only had to pitch 1 inning, but still, nonetheless, kept them into the game. And what's this guy? Is his name Bauman or Bowman? The Mariners, the guy that we just acquired.
I think it's Bowman, Bauman. Yeah, you're right. I'm not sure. One of the two.
He's looked pretty decent. He seems like he's ascending and fitting right in there with the bullpen. No surprise of what Pete Woodworth and the Mariners pitching staff and the research or whatever does with these guys. It's just another case of this. It looks like.
Yeah, you're right. After his first start, I mentioned it before in Yankee Stadium, I was like, whoa. But yeah, he's been real solid. But do you ever think like the Mariners, or particularly Logan Gilbert, is texting with his buddies and going, God, can I get some run support? It feels like he always gets the shaft so much. I mean, he did cause a run himself because of that overthrow, but just 2 runs, and he just has been on the short end of the stick with the Mariners providing him any offense, it feels like, so far this year.
Yeah, he's becoming that guy. First it was Castillo, now it is Logan. I think they've all had their turn
no doubt.
Getting the ghost of Felix Hernandez coming in and creeping in on them and on their season. But I walked home, safely got myself back to the hotel there, locked up, went to bed, thought about going to today's game. I was going to go to today's game. As you can see, this is supposed to be the live in Oakland, but I had to get back down here for something tomorrow. But we go into today's game, big story, just to start the game off. I don't know if you guys caught this. I'm sure you've read about it, but the lineup cards, they were exchanged by Mike Cameron and Mike Cameron's son, who plays for the Oakland A's today.
Yeah, super cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I got to see him play. He came up and I made his major league debut, I believe, with Detroit. But yeah, now as an Athletic, and anytime you get to see Cammy, with the M's on the road, and then they have this special occasion, super cool.
Yeah. Today's game, obviously the big story is Brian Wu, now becomes the historically the best 6 starts into the season any Mariner has ever had. Eclipsed what Randy Johnson did back in 95. Remember 95? I think it was a pretty good year. That's what Wu's doing right now. I think he's only given up 4 runs in total, and I think 2 of the runs came on a 2-run shot by a reliever that came in after him.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he has been absolutely lights out. I mean, wow, what a fifth starter we have. I mean, just can't say. I'm speechless. Just can't say enough good things about what Wu has done for us.
I mean, is it safe to say that he is the best five starter in baseball, at least right now? Can anybody find me a better five starter in a rotation right now?
I mean, I couldn't come up with one, not with one with his record and pedigree. I mean, he's been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean his start. I also heard if we want to go outside of the Mariners, I don't know if it's like top 5 or top 6. It's definitely in the top 10. The stat nerds out there will look this up, but they were equating it to Cliff Lee's start in 2008 when he was on Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, and since you mentioned Cliff Lee, I know that the Phillies have one of the better rotations. I don't follow them as closely, but it'd be interesting to stack up what their fifth starter has stat-wise versus Wu, because they're considered sometimes by some people and some experts as a better rotation than the Mariners.
Yeah, and also as some people are commenting, someone's commenting here. I think it's this stats. He's just coming in, firing them. He's not a 5, bro. He's an ace. I agree. If he's on any other team, he's probably far more up in the rotation. I don't know if he's an number 1 quite yet. Hasn't pitched enough, but he's definitely trending that way. I mean, we could have this conversation all the time about any of our 5 starters after they pitch a game. You know, we can sit here and go, this is historically the best game, blah, 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 blah. You fill in the blanks. That is the number 1 word we have started. And I know the Ninja claimed in spring training we were going to have historically the best pitching that you're probably going to see in history. It's going to be maybe even better than the Braves. And we were like, chill the fuck out. And now look at us right now. And look, health has been on their side so far. And that's a big thing.
Absolutely, and because of Wu's health, you know, he's still kind of on a pitch count limit. But the Mariners do, I wouldn't say phenomenal, but they consider how many pitches each guy throws a game. And, you know, I don't think he's gotten over 85 pitches yet. So, I mean, that kind of still makes him a back end of the rotation kind of guy. But he, like I said, he is coming back from injury and didn't start with the club right out of the gate.
Yeah, and if you're trying to get this on Instagram, for some reason we haven't figured that out again on this.
What's
when we did the Waken Day. Oh, okay, me. Yeah, I do see that. My staff of 1 of trying to figure that part out. Sorry, we'll try to figure that out for the next game. If we're streaming there on Twitter, I don't know. I just kind of only seeing the YouTube stuff. If you're getting this just on the podcast in the morning, smart person. But in this game today, besides Wu doing this, again, he's doing this knowing that he's only going to be able to pitch so much because he's definitely on a watch, which I think we all agree is a good thing. But he's just being so fucking efficient.
Yeah.
Just absolutely efficient. He also made 2 runners on third base just disappear today. So, again, excellent start. I also didn't feel so bad about not going to the game today because I knew all of everybody that ever went to Alameda High School was going to be at this game going through. They were all behind the dugout. I could hear that on the radio as I drove down today. So I didn't feel as bad. Let's see how many people were in attendance today. I think it was about 6,500. I would say about 4,500 of those were former classmates of Brian Wu by the sound. But in this game too, we saw something pretty awesome. We saw Cal Raleigh playing some small ball to getting on, stealing. He's 2 for 2 on the steals and also scores on a single standing up. I know there's a little bit of loft to that, but Cal Raleigh, I saw a stat where he's the 6th most efficient sprint speed guy on the team, which I don't know if I like, but good for him.
Yeah, no, good for him, but that's just too much analysis or whatever, you know. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. Garver had some good at bats today. We're seeing him walk a bit more. He was on base quite a bit. Hits a late home run big add-on home run. I thought that was like something we definitely needed, especially with Muñoz not being in this game and the bullpen again holding it down. But you got Stanek coming in there for the close, but that extra insurance run, making it 3-0, I think just made everybody, the fans, the team, everybody feel great. Earlier on, I should remiss before I can't jump ahead here. Earlier in the game, there was the inning when they got their first run off of that sac fly. Who hit the sac fly today? Was that was Dylan Moore? I don't know. So this is just kind of one of those everything counts, especially when the Mariners, runs are a premium. You had that inning where I can't remember who Garver got on. Yes, he got on. I believe somebody walked in front of him, and then Bliss puts down this bunt, gets an infield single on it, which moves Garver over to first base. Which I will add, when I was listening to the radio broadcast, they go, Garver's in scoring position. Bliss has a good chance to knock him in right here. And I was like, not so fast. He's not the most fleet of foot. I think getting him over to third base, then getting that sac fly was the way to go. It was just excellent small ball when nothing was rocking and rolling right there. I really like that Bliss could get that infield single. It's a little thing, but it really chipped in. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Garver has been such a disappointment so far for us this year, and it's good to see him have a game. You talk about Cal stealing and Bliss and bunting the runner over. It brings me back to kind of thinking about the whole series as a whole, and in Game 2 when the Mariners get Cal on late in the innings, they could have pinch ran him for Bliss. They could have bunted, maybe Bliss gets a steal. So, as a good series at which we had, there was still some questionable managerial decisions, I thought, that hampered us in part of the series, particularly Game 2. But
yes, I agree.
It seems that, after that kind of maybe debrief, they went a little bit more with that action today, getting Cal going, getting Bliss to bunt him over. And, it's not typical anymore in Major League Baseball to bunt guys over, but with our team and a premium for runs, I like to see it. Not every time, but it's good to see that they can do it.
Yeah, we had another one of those technical difficulties here, but I think you were just talking about, again, recapping the managerial decisions. Definitely in Game 2, you're particularly talking about when you take Luke Raley out of the game. I know it's left on left. Yeah, we were going to the computer a little bit too much. You talk about a guy that's just stroking the ball. Yeah, I didn't like that substitution, especially right there when we were hurting to get base runners on right there. Just felt like the Mariners had the momentum. Kotze, hand it to him. He was playing matchups. He knew who he was going up against. He got him to take the guy who's been the guy out of the lineup. But yes, Mariners, regardless, get 2 out of 3. They win the series. That's the most important thing, especially when you're heading into Kansas City. Another question here says, you guys have seen enough M's teams. I guess that's a nice way of calling us old. What previous M starting staff has looked this good? Maybe that nobody, but close to it. Maybe,
I know.
Yeah, nobody. But if you want like an answer for you to go wrong, I would say that, what was it, the 2004 team that ended up not even getting into the playoffs? That was a Moyer-led team. I think that was a good staff in 2004. I think it's where they threw the combined no-hitter that year. I don't know. Nobody. We haven't seen a Mariners staff. And then we got a Yankee hater in the room with a big B-O-O-O. I think that's slang for Bowman or Bowman. Big fan of his, I guess. Well, anyways, that is the series. It was nice being down in Oakland. Nice enough that I woke up this morning and was like, I got to get the fuck out of this town. What would we trade for Aaron Judge? Hanno?
Nobody. He's not that good.
Oh yeah. With that being said, we're gonna take a quick, tiny little break. But when we get back, we are going to be talking about a little bit about Muñoz and the bullpen, and then we're gonna get into those trade rumors, and then we're gonna let Hanno after Stanton.
Baseball sure has changed, Junior.
Yeah, the hexagon replaced the diamond.
And can you imagine facing 3 pitchers?
Emerson on base. Oh, the Base ejector caught him snoozing. He goes
Why did
anyway.
it all change?
All sport. Game just got too easy.
The unsurpassed taste of all sport. A third more carbs than Gatorade for energy could make a difference.
Next up,
Your grandson's up.
Ken Griffey IV. He connects. It's going. Watch out, center point. Oh!
Center Bliss got him.
He was robbed.
All sport body quencher. The game will never be the same.
Hey, thanks to our sponsor, All Sport. Can you still get All Sports?
I've never seen it in a long time, but I wouldn't mind trying it out again. I miss the glass Gatorade bottles.
Oh,
that was the
God.
best Gatorade back in the day.
I know. My parents shoved me into soccer. I hated it. There's nothing running for a fat kid. It was no good. But I do remember how hard those Gatorades hit out of that glass bottle. They hit hard. They slapped, as they like to say. So, look, we got more. Oh, we got more Yankee. We got people
Is this
hitting
the
me.
Vladdy Daddy?
I guess Vladdy Daddy's definitely probably telling me that I need to start promoting. Let me guess. No, he sent me. He's sending me cartoon stuff and Marvel stuff.
Oh,
Anyways,
I thought
he probably
was maybe our Yankee fan. That's why I was funny.
He was. He's one of the people that was on there. So he probably wants me to do a plug for what is our new show, our spinoff. Yes, it's Wake and Bake Baseball every Thursday morning. We haven't decided on a time. Probably going to be 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, noon out on the East Coast. We're just going to be talking about baseball, having guests from wherever, entertainment world, LA, Seattle, maybe in the baseball world. You don't got to get high to listen to it. You don't got to be high
To listen to it, you do.
Okay, a correction. You must please get screwed up before you listen to us on a Thursday. If you're at work or you're driving or something, like, we don't condone that. Make your own decisions. Anyways, we saw Muñoz get injured here in that game one. But that also correlates with the news of two other relief things. Two other reliever news bits that we should talk about. And one is Gregory Santos. We've been waiting for this guy since we traded for him. We knew he was going to be a little bit banged up, had some start and goes this off season. What is the latest on this guy?
Yes, I heard that he was getting some work in off the mound down in Oakland. So that's really good and positive. I mean, he didn't have a spring training. This is kind of the start of his spring training, and I'm thinking since he's had a couple of these now that have been reported, it sounds like he'll be treating this as his spring training and start loading up on him on his pitches, and we'll have a rehab start here soon. I would expect, if there's no problems, to see him by July.
Wow, that would be great. I mean, I said this before. It's like we haven't missed Matt Brash too much, and that's a good thing. That's not talking shit about Matt Brash, because he's pretty much probably has the filthiest stuff on our team outside of this Miller. I mean, Matt Brash throws shit that'll blow your mind. That makes the the pitching ninja bust a nut anytime this guy gets on the mound. But we're not going to see him until later in next year. So obviously bringing Stanek over was huge, absolutely huge. They dodged a bullet and they got the guy with the mullet, right? But another piece of news that I was going to bring up here is this top pitching prospect. Which one? The Mariners got so many goddamn ones. Logan Evans, correct?
Yeah.
He is being transitioned into a relief pitcher, which also, it seems like, or what I'm hearing, that is going to streamline him to get up here to the big club.
Yes, Logan Evans, 12th round pick last year at a Pitt, I believe. It sounds like they're doing kind of the same thing with him that they did with Edwin Diaz back in the day. As Edwin was a starter too, they expect Evans to ramp up, get going. He's got a guy that throws 99 to 100. And a wipeout slider, great for a bullpen. So it's and a chance for him to get moved up quickly. I think that it's a thing where it might not be for the rest of his career. But as we all know, look what happened to Edwin Diaz. Look what happened to these guys. They're so good in the bullpen that's where they stay. But for the player, it's not as good as being a starter, obviously, because of the contractual things that go along with that. But it gets him and his service time going in the big leagues right away, get him vested. So that's really good for him, and that's anybody's goal to get to the big leagues. But yeah, as I mentioned, Edwin Diaz, they did it with him after the transition. It took about 3 weeks and of kind of getting him situated. So we could probably see Logan Evans in the next month or so to 3 weeks if he moves along just like Diaz did during his transition.
Yeah, he's been down in Arkansas. Pulled up his stats here: 6-2, 1.18 in 11 games. Got 10 saves, 10 starts. 53 in the third innings. Oh, damn! Look at that whip: 0.98, 48 strikeouts. But I'm most impressed with these Chris Sabo shades that he wears.
Yeah, and when I think of that, I think of Trent.
The guy from Anaheim?
No, the guy on our team. What's his name? Trent
Thornton.
Yeah, Trent Thornton, and that scares me a little, but it's
yeah,
okay.
We're gonna get some, that is going to be interesting. The Mariners have, talked about, the Mariners have talked about adding, and we also hear that, hey, they might add a bullpen arm, which I don't think is a bad idea, but with the arrival of possibly him and Santos, maybe it doesn't turn into such a necessity as long as Muñoz mends well. It seems like he's going to be all right. What do you think the need for going out and getting a proven veteran, just another dog out in the bullpen? What do you think the need of that is right now?
Even if this guy Logan Evans comes up, does well, I still would like to see them go out and get another arm, personally. I don't know what to expect of Logan Evans. Everything I hear from, the pundits and stuff say that this guy has great stuff as a starter. With him just coming in and giving all he's got in one inning, they expect, like I said, upper velocity, 99, maybe touch 100. With that wipeout slider, so for going an inning. But we don't know what to expect. But let's say he does come up and take off like Diaz did. Yeah, maybe you don't. But I still would like to see us go out and get another bullpen arm.
And this is a good lead in here to what we're going to do next. Jeff Passan was on the radio, kind of talking about, hey, Seattle and Arizona have a good trading track record. Maybe possibly you could Mariners could entertain the thought of seeing Sewald back in this bullpen.
Yeah, man, he's comfortable. He knows it up here. Is he back playing now after being injured? Do you know?
I believe so. Yeah. And in fact, I believe he had a really good May. I could pull that up. Let's see. Oh, we got another question. What do you guys think about Carlos Vargas? Vargas down in Tacoma?
Yeah, I don't know too much about him, but listen to a podcast with Ryan Divish, beat writer for the Mariners, and his name was mentioned. And he said that they're high on him. He's up in Tacoma, but they don't think he's quite ready yet. But, worst comes to worst, maybe they will have to play that card.
I'm going to pull up some Paul Sewald stuff and going instead of just generalizing. Let's pull him up. Do I got that up on the screen there for you? No, that's the Ty France stuff. Oh, I forgot to mention the historic thing about Ty France is I'll talk about that at the end of the episode. It's kind of a interesting stat. Let's see. He's
But yeah, I mean, Sewald would be huge for us. To me, it would be kind of interesting. Remember, after he got settled in with Anaheim last year, he did make some comments, not too bad about the Mariners, but they were a little bit backhanded. So to see him come back, that would be interesting to see how that dynamic happens. But he loves those guys, still, hangs out with them, talks to them. it would be an easy transition for us to get him and him come back to Seattle and fit right in.
Just for clarity, I actually did not have that up on the screen. Here it is.
Okay.
Look at that.
I
Look
tried
at
to
look at
stall
those.
as much as I could. Oh,
All right, well, look at those numbers. Those are nice.
yeah.
I wonder what you'd have to give up for that. Maybe you got to give him back Canzone and
Yeah.
or
Maybe a
something.
Canzone. Maybe a
Yeah,
Bliss. Who knows?
Yeah. Well,
Not Rojas.
anyway, we're gonna get into some of the fun stuff that you've wanted to talk about. Like as we've talked about here on this podcast, your running story isn't really what we're doing now. It's what are we gonna do at the trade deadline? We're hearing some rumors. We've also heard your best friend, your idol, your buddy, the one you have a poster in your room. Actually, it's a dartboard, I believe. John Stanton had some comments. We're gonna get into that right after this.
Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdom?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go leave. They go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramps?
yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so we're starting to see some trades. We're starting to see some fake trades, mock trades. I'm gonna call them fake. Yeah, mock, fake, whatever you want to call it. At least we're getting closer to these being reality. It almost feels like, oh, we got some hot news coming in here. It almost feels just like the hot stove is turning back on right now. Actually, the barbecue, right? You're starting to see them, aren't you?
Yeah, the pilot light is lit.
It is. I'll just start us off here of the fantasy ones that we're seeing right now. My number one would be Vladimir Guerrero. Still has some team control.
Yeah, I mean, I would take any of these guys to improve the club. So I want all of them.
I want anybody that can hit. We also talked about the Paul Sewald one. Oh, Vladimir Perez says you guys need 2 elite hitters. I agree. We saw what happened when we stack up against a team like New York. We stole one. We won one game in that series, and we stole another one. Sure, you got to play all 9 innings, excuse me. But also, you saw what happened in Baltimore. And a friend of mine that I do the podcast, what was called something else now. It's Wake and Bake Baseball. He was telling me Michael Kay does not have us up there in the elite teams, and I have to agree. We're one of the great and better teams and on the bubble of being elite, but not elite until you can actually go out there and score some runs consistently, not a couple of times every couple of weeks, and not just against teams like Anaheim.
Yeah, as far as where we're at right now, I would agree. We've talked about it that we're probably the next tier down down from these teams that are right on the top. Totally agree with that. We've gotten by with our pitching. We need to load up on the offense, and we can get right in that situation. So yeah, totally agree with that.
And for clarity, Vlad wants us to know. Michael Kay said Yanks, Dodgers, and O's. So yeah, you can't. Yes, but for the Mariners too. Go ahead.
You know what's interesting? You mentioned the Dodgers. Did you know? I think the Mariners are only like 3 games behind the Dodgers in the win column.
Oh, interesting. They also play in a tougher division.
Oh no kidding. But
yeah.
I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, yes, but to compete with the Skanks and the Hoes out there on the East Coast, we definitely need some hitters. We got another one here. Sewald, just going back to last section. Sewald mentioned how much he appreciated the John Stanton ownership group in an interview the offseason. Seemed like he was licking boots, perhaps, to keep on Stanton's good side. Yeah, no.
Interesting. Maybe. I mean, it's always good not to burn a bridge.
Yes, I mean, I think Seattle is the first place that actually gave him some real money,
and gave him a chance and kind of turned around his career. So yeah, I'm sure he has a good feelings about the Mariners.
and sent him to a team that he ended up being in the World Series,
Yeah.
which also put more money in his pocket. But I would say right now, maybe his value is a little bit less. It's probably less than for what we traded him for. So that would be interesting to see what you could give up to get him back.
Yeah, I have no idea what it would cost, but it sure would be fascinating. And we know that the Mariners have made lots of trades with the Snakes down there, so they're comfortable in making deals with them.
Yeah, and speaking of making deals, I would say the big Twitter war, the big social media war, the fan war, the tug of war over what to do at the deadline isn't. I think everybody agrees it's the hitting, right? If you're going to get it, the big scare is what's it gonna cost? Are we gonna lose all these prospects? A lot of these offensive prospects that play the same position up the middle. That the other prospect, Harry Ford, plays the same position as Cal Raleigh. I don't know. What if we lock up Cal Raleigh? How do you feel about these prospects? How much of a stranglehold do you feel like the Mariners should have on them? What do you think they should do? Are you scared to mortgage the future for right now with this historic pitching staff?
Yeah, it's a thing where you gotta jump when the iron's hot. I think we're in a position that we need to. And first of all, we're not going to mortgage the future. Sure,
Exactly.
we might lose some prospects, but this is what you built the whole season and the rebuild to do. You're going to have a draft here in the next month or so to reload on some guys if you lose some guys. Like you mentioned, they all play the same position. Sure, I don't want to get fleeced by a team, but I also want the Mariners not to be scared to make a trade. Sure. We've had tons of prospects. We had the big three back in the day. Remember Danny Holtzen, the mini Space Needle or the mini unit?
Yeah.
Those guys turned out not to be anything. Ackley, he killed college baseball. He came up, did squat. Jared Kelnick was rated one of the highest young prospects. I think as high as 5 in the game. We know where he is. So, we can't be scared, and like the biggest thing, like you mentioned, Myron, is we can't squander what this pitching staff has done for us and where we're at.
Yeah, and you want to go back and people want to talk about 2021, 2022, 2023. Yes, in 2022 we went to the playoffs, but here is the difference. All those seasons took a huge comeback, a huge surge later in the season when maybe you thought they were sellers or buyers. There wasn't this definite, these guys are for real. That is the difference this year. And we have also had the benefit of playing some of these elite teams early on and going, hey, where do we measure up against them? So I feel like right now the Mariners can't really worry about that. Just to get to this fucking point of having this historically great pitching staff and a bullpen and scoring enough runs to have the record that we have right now. Imagine what you can do if you do add an elite bat, maybe one and another decent bat.
Yeah,
now is the time.
Yeah, you and I have been watching Mariner baseball for a long time, and typically the Mariners don't make too big of trades at the deadline. And we've seen where it's gotten us. I mean, we were a chance to go to the World Series against the Astros a couple years ago and couldn't get hits all 18 innings, so
I was there.
It's time. Yeah, I mean, and we can't be scared to get rid of an Adam Jones type player for a Bedard that happened. Sure, that stunk. Sure, Adam Jones turned out to be a great outfielder, great major leaguer, but
and that was 20 years ago. Get over it. That's how I'm with you with that. And I'm like, what are we waiting for? We're here now, and this is what's gonna segue us into this. Before I get into this, also my 93-year-old grandma Norma says now is the time, I agree with her. And but this is a good segue into this what we've been waiting for. we get to talk a little bit of John Stanton, your favorite person to talk about. John Stanton in Seattle Times, if you've not read it, he has made statements that he is ready to invest. He's all in and ready to invest in the AL West. Is that accurate with the? Let's pull up this article.
Yeah, that's what he was quoted as saying when he did that article with Jude and Divish. Yeah, we hope so. I mean, show us. That's what most fans are going to say, including myself. Show us. That's what it comes down to. Show us.
Yeah, and I think so. He had that article, and I know. I believe who wrote a follow up on it, like more
Matt
of
Calkins from the Seattle Times.
And there's another one. What's it? Mike Vorel was the one that I read.
Okay.
Really good, and I think it sums it up. And I'll just shit. You guys go get your own goddamn subscription. No, I'm just running out of time here, or else I would read more of it. But just to start off this article, I think sums it up. It's one thing to say it; it's another to do it. In 2 months, we'll know more, right? I mean, that's pretty much it. And then at the end of this article, which you guys should go read, at the end of the article, I believe he ends this article with, "Soon enough, quotes we'll pull out of it. We've got the resources to be able to do the things we need to do to put a good team on the field." That's what Stanton told Divish and Jude.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it makes sense that this is the Mariners' way of doing it. They're not going to go, we've seen it, they're not going to go out in the offseason and spend big on free agents. So what do you have to do to supplement the team? You got to go out and make a trade. And if there's any way to do it and any year to do it, this is the year. So it would make sense. But like I said, I'll believe it when I see it.
And look, these are the kind of things I'm tired of hearing. Just like the interview he had on King 5 or whatever. Quote, "I look at the talent we've got on the offensive side, and I think we've got the ability to hit." That's the kind of shit I do not want to hear right now.
Yeah, I mean, that was earlier on in the year. Is that in this latest article he's quoted in?
This is, and look, Jorge Polanco. Look, this is Jorge Polanco, been a bust. Rayleigh, thumbs up. Haniger, he is what we thought we were going to get. Would I rather have Teo Hernandez? Sure. Mitch Garver, it's been a disappointment. Urias in the minor. Zevi Zabala, he's losing his backup, reps to Garver.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to be primarily a DH.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it is an improvement on what they did last season outside of Hernandez, because last year, I think at the end of the season, we didn't have any of the off-season acquisitions. And we were pointing the blame at Jerry when we didn't know the full scale of this.
Absolutely. I mean, there's just so many factors, like we've talked about. The Mariners and their pitching staff, we can't waste it. A down year, possibly, the way it's looking in the AL West. It's go time now. They've been talking about this rebuild for, I don't know even how long Jerry and Scott have been here, 10 years. I mean, this rebuild was supposed to be, augmented back in 18 to 19 or whatever, so it's go time. If they're in it, let's go for it. I mean, and like I want to preface again, it doesn't mean we get fleeced on a trade. You can make smart trades. Let's go back to 95, Myron. One of the best trades and a spark plug for that Mariner team was Vince Coleman.
Absolutely.
So you can do it a lot of different ways and be creative. So we just need to add somebody to help out the team. And if it's Vladdy Guerrero, if it's, I don't know, maybe Rooker that you saw this past week or this last game for Oakland, it could be anybody.
Yeah,
I just think
I'm looking forward to talking about it. And we go back to the resources. What are the resources? The prospects. But the other resources are all the goddamn money that the Mariners make. That is the resource that does the talking.
to be able to not to be able, to get a Vladdy who's got an extra year on his contract. The Mariners, like I've mentioned before, won't go out and get a Pete Alonso because he would just be a rental, and the Mariners don't want to sacrifice, the talent they have, and then not get anything in return by not re-signing him. But it just all depends. These trades can work a bunch of different ways too. The other club who we trade with can send money back, and that will depend on what kind of prospect they might get. I mean, there's just a lot of things to think about when making a trade, and it'll be interesting to see how it works out and who the player could be. I mean, I would love to have Kyle Tucker if Houston's out of it, but that would cost a lot as far as prospects, I would think. But dare to dream.
Yeah. And like one of these commenters here says, they're just going to try to fleece you for your starters. Yeah, we already know that. But look, we got starters down in the minor leagues. I don't think they're going to touch the starting five. I don't think that is happening. It's pretty obvious. It's about getting somebody in here. Maybe it's going to be a high priced rental. Maybe it's going to be somebody that you're going to try to hold on to and sign. And look, I actually have some a reenactment. If Hannah or anybody sees John Stanton on the streets, we're gonna bring this back. If you've been watching the show, here it is. Give me that. Let go. Give me that. Go there. Give me that. Give me that. That's what needs to happen if you see people in the streets. And once again, no, I did not get a call back on that one, but I did almost get kicked out of the room I was staying in for being too loud when I was recording that. Anyways, we're gonna wrap this up in a second. Right after this, we got 4-time Gold Glove winners, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, and look, the reason why I bleached my hair back in the 2000s. What's up, Brett?
I love it. I love it. You had the hair, huh?
That was like my college look.
That was my thing. My kids still tease me about it. And they said, "Dad, why don't you go bleach your hair?" I said, "Dad's getting a little old for that." I said, that was just a phase I went through. It was kind of a shtick. And I used to tell people when I bleached my hair, I'd say, the city expects it. So just don't worry about it. Get out of my way. Every 3 weeks, I had my routine.
Did you get your hair done by somebody here?
I did. No, I did. I had a young lady who would come to the ballpark, actually, and I had a barber chair. It was a hair bleaching station. And there was a couple guys on the Mariners that would get it done, too. But every 3 weeks, she would come in. We had a little office space off the clubhouse, and I'd get it done. So that was fun. It brings back pretty cool memories.
Yeah, so the Mariners are headed on into Kansas City. 10 games over 500, but they are, I'll pull this up. I got proof right here. They are 3-7 in their last 10. They just split a series, very strange series. Actually, it was a road trip, a 2-game road trip to with the Cleveland Guardians. Now is a good time to go in and play Kansas City, but they've played the Mariners tough going back to the last couple of seasons. We all know, Bobby Witt Jr., but let's not forget about one of the Mariner killers, Salvador Perez is still on that team. He seems to always get these hits. I don't know where the standings are. Trust me. They are, trailing Cleveland. I think, are about like 4 games behind Cleveland. If you're watching games, you want to be rooting against Cleveland or pretty much anybody in the Central, because I think it's going to be tough to catch the Yankees out east. But you definitely want that bye, especially with this pitching staff we got for the playoffs. Like, we are built for the playoffs. The Mariners are, but we obviously know that it's the marathon that they've had a tough time. Going to be a fun series. Let's just pull up some of the probables for this weekend. Or do you already know them off the top of your head who's pitching while I pull this up?
It's got to be Castillo, Miller, and Kirby.
Close. It is going to be Miller, Castillo, then Kirby.
Okay.
So, yeah, you had the right guys.
I needed to box him if I was going to win that horse race. Wrong order.
Let's see. We have thanks, guys. I listen to every episode. Seth, thanks, guys. I listen to every episode as a Washington guy born in '90. All the OG references. Hope to see you guys at the ballparks one of these days. Well, if you go on the road, you'll see Hanno. He's still holding out of not going to any home games. He's boycotting. But what if we make a big trade? Then are you going to take your boycott down, Hanno?
Yeah, with that, it'll be thought about. Let's put it that way.
It'll be thought about. Listen, he just said he's not going to personally put any of his own money into what's going on into Stanton's pockets. But if somebody gets him a nice ticket, buys him some hot dogs. Hey, if you come down to Oakland, I definitely can afford the dollar hot dog night there, Hanno. I did say
$4 enough for me.
I did say at the beginning of the pod that there was another historic moment. And Ty France, technically it is historic. He has tied Edgar Martinez, I think, for the most times being hit. Is that correct?
Oh, okay. I was wondering what this Ty France freaking trophy was going to be for.
That is.
You're right. You're right. Or tied. Yeah, he's tied with him.
Yeah, and Edgar Martinez was here for 105 years, so very impressive. I saw the tying being the last night or. Game 2. So anyways, again, thank you for liking, subscribing, checking out the live show. If you're listening to this on the podcast and go, what the fuck, I missed it, well, you can always get on YouTube. It's supposed to be on Twitter or X. We're working on YouTube, and again, we don't know what's going on with Instagram. If you're on Instagram watching this, say something, because I'm looking here on the other screen and I can't get on it. But again, thanks for all the support. And again, liking, subscribing is very important. We'll be back following the Kansas City thing. Can you hear the music?
I can.
Is it too? All right. I don't know if it's too loud. This is how we always like to say goodbye. We like to turn a little lo-fi and put y'all into bed. It's a Thursday night. Heading into a fun weekend. Got early games, which means you're going to have to remember that the games are at 5 o'clock. People all know when the fuck these games are at. We got a 5 o'clock game, a 1 o'clock game, an 11 o'clock game. So you can get these games out of the way, check out some NHL, check out some WNBA, some NBA, a lot of shit going on in the sports world. What are you watching, Hanno, besides the Mariners right now?
I'm just looking forward to the Stanley Cup finals.
All right. Well, again, also, if you want to get down with the rye bread, you want that street cred, you got to rock the rye bread. Hit up at simply.core. That's at simply.core. Also, go check out In the Clutch Sporting Apparel. We're going to have some promo codes for you that coming soon. But actually, if you hit New Nasty Boys in there, I think you get 10% off. We're going to have our rye bread on there. They got lots of fun stuff. Our friend Billy DeVore of the New Nasty Boys Cincinnati Reds podcast runs that shit. Anyways, with that being said, Hanno, you know what time it is. And I'm going to wrap this shit up right here. End stream, motherfucker.